Room 237 is a Jumperscape audio production. Ah, stranger, we've missed you. Join us in Room 237.
Hello, and welcome once again into Room 237. It's a joyous day. You see, apologies ahead of time. This will probably be a brief episode. Ashton has a migraine, and she's being very brave about it, so we're still doing the episode today.
I'm struggling with this, so if I don't have the normal amount of energy I bring to the table, just my brain hurt really bad.
Yeah, so we picked a movie that my brain was like, this probably won't warrant a ton of discussion. I think I'm wrong, but at the same time, I also think I'm right. What are we talking about?
So today we watched M3GAN. Came out in 2022, which I feel like was, I don't know why, but I thought it was longer ago than that.
Weirdly, I thought it was shorter ago than that.
I think maybe like everyone hyping it up so much before the movie even came out and like dressing up as M3GAN before the movie was even in theaters. I think that's why I thought it was longer ago, because M3GAN was like a phenomena before the movie was even released.
That's a fair way to look at it. This is one of those movies I had not seen it prior to about 2 hours ago when we started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those movies that it came out, got tons and tons of hype and praise, and I just never watched because of like the annoying hipster urge to not engage with something when it's popular.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that it was not, it wasn't, I assumed because of all the hype it was not going to be that great.
And I was pleasantly surprised.
I was very pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, me too.
Despite the migraine.
The movie definitely suffers from a little bit of a PG-13 syndrome. It still gets away with a lot, but
are you kidding? It's still pretty gory.
Not really.
That one scene is intense.
Which one?
The neighbor one.
The neighbor. Yeah, that's intense, but you don't really. It's still the PG-13 cutaway before it gets too crazy kind of thing.
I guess that's true.
Implied violence.
It still made me go.
Yeah, that's why I said it still gets away with a lot, so it's honestly not too noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
But like with my horror nut brain, like a PG-13 horror movie always has those annoying moments where it's like, I know they're doing this to make more money because they get a wider appeal.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, doesn't really hurt the movie that bad. Just like Five Nights at Freddy's, how like there's a lot of PG-13isms in there, but they get away with enough implied stuff that it kind of makes up for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kind of a similar vibe. I know they're both Blumhouse,
yeah.
but weirdly a similar vibe to Five Nights at Freddy's in my brain.
Yeah, I guess so. This gave me like Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, because it's very much kind of a Frankenstein's type of story.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie opens and we see Cady, just a little kid.
No, the movie opens with an ad.
It opens with an ad, that's right.
For what was it called?
Perpetual Pets.
Perpetual Pet. And
basically Wi-Fi Furbies.
Yeah. I'm going, this is a Furby. It keeps saying things like gross things, and that's what Furbies did. This is just a Furby.
Yeah, Furbies would just be like poo poo, hee hee,
fart,
haha,
hee hee. I was like, this is it keeps going, and I just keep going, this is a Furby.
Do they still make Furbies?
I think so.
'Cause I feel like in this day and age, you could make those
I'm pretty
toys
sure
exist.
I'm pretty sure there is a Wi-Fi Furby. I'm pretty sure I had a Wi-Fi Furby that you could like connect to a separate device and give it more things that it could do.
That might be a slippery slope if this movie has anything to say about it.
It also had like a it wasn't exactly latex, but it was a stretchy rubber instead of being like a fuzzy Furby or a bean Furby. It was like I had a very weird specific Furby, and like you could like pull at its like skin. The only thing that was weird about it is it was like essentially supposed to be like a squishy thing, but when you would squish it, you could feel its endoskeleton. It was so uncomfortable, but it also had little like ears and stuff that I could like put into it. They were like little like purple spirals and stuff. Those our Furbies didn't last very long because we thought they were kind of scary.
Because they are scary.
Remember the like Furby that you could give like an extremely long neck?
No.
You remember those?
I had a Furby when they originally like came out. At least when I think they originally came out. It was early 2000s.
Yeah, I think they were an early 2000s thing.
Look it up.
I'm looking up the long neck Furby.
Ashley, look that up.
Huh?
I was trying to do the Joe Rogan. Jamie, look that up.
Long neck Furby.
What's the long neck Furby? I'm scared.
Oh, that's an Etsy. I don't want Etsy. I just want an image.
So, while we're... I don't like it. Why is it in a knot? Are you sure? These are all Etsy things, though.
Yeah,
so
maybe it wasn't.
Made these.
Maybe it wasn't something they. Oh, it was the 90s. Maybe it wasn't something you could do, but it was a craft that people did with a lot of their Furbies, where you could take, because basically you could take a Furby and literally just take off its like, fur or latex or whatever. You could just take it off, and then you could make more Furby.
You could make more Furby,
and you could make the long.
You
Furby.
replicate your Furby's DNA in a lab, and you. But yeah,
there
so the
was
movie,
like a Furby genetics thing too. Anyway, the movie.
We're getting too far into the Furby rabbit hole. The movie opens with basically Wi-Fi future Furbies, like an ad, just to introduce you to Funky, which is the toy brand that we follow in this movie. But then we see a user of one of these Furby clones, Perpetual Pets, in the backseat of the car while their parents are driving. They're going to a ski resort. Mm-hmm. They're arguing about things like screen time.
Yeah,
because it uses an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
I went to go grab a pen because I was like, oh, I don't have a pen for my notes.
Yeah.
And what happened at this time?
So, they're arguing in the car, and the car starts slipping in the snow, and Cady unbuckles her seatbelt because her Furby ripoff fell on the floor of the car. So she unbuckles and grabs the Furby thing, and they yell at her for having her seatbelt unbuckled. And the snow is getting so heavy they can't see out of the windshield, so they decide to just stop. And the camera, it's that shot, that shot, like from the back seat of the car where you just see the two people in the front two seats like arguing with each other, and you can see through the windshield, and they're just like, we'll wait here, and one of those snowplow trucks are going to come by, and then we'll be able to get up the thing. And she's starting to say another sentence, and then you see just like 18 lights and a giant truck, and the windshield shatters, and then we move on.
And this is when I came back with my pen, and now we're just in the office of Funky, and this whole building, I'm just like, this is the definition of we're not like most workplaces. Like,
Oh yeah, it's the new age corporate.
Yeah.
It's definitely the new age corporate. Especially they show
We
off
like to have
those
fun here.
they show off those one of those soundproof little room things. That was the thing that I was like, new age corporate.
New age corporate.
Because they have two people like working in there or something, and I always think those rooms are so weird because they're just these little glass boxes. They have them all over colleges now. Those like soundproof little rooms.
I've never seen those.
You've never seen them?
No.
We had one of those at UC. They're not actually soundproof. Fun fact. It's just so that it's quieter in there so you could study.
So is it just a glass cube?
It's basically just a glass cube with a little desk in it. And
I feel like I'd feel like a zoo animal.
yeah, that's what I feel like. I don't really like them. I don't understand why you can't just get a study room instead. Like, and you had to book these too, so it's not like they were any more helpful. It's weird. But yeah, we go down into the basement lab and we meet Gemma, who's Cady's aunt who works at Funky
Toys.
Yeah,
something like
Toys, and she is currently working on an update to the Furby thing.
Well, she's supposed to be working on an update to the Furby thing.
She is, until her coworker comes down with the new skin for her
little side project.
Her side project, M3GAN.
Which M3GAN is an acronym. I don't think either of us wrote it down.
No, I was a little too busy paying attention to the movie.
But yeah, M3GAN, and already even though I know she's not complete, already the Uncanny Valley is strong.
It's so creepy.
It's so creepy. And the thing with this is every time I see any because it's very much modeled after like humanoid robots that you see like today.
Yeah.
In terms of the range of its facial expressions, and like I still don't understand how you could look at one of those and not be terrified.
Oh, James.
What?
You know how you were complaining about the PG-13?
Yeah.
So the film was originally shot as an R-rated movie, until the producers noticed while editing it that it was close enough to PG-13 that they just made it PG-13 so that
that actually is how a lot of
more people could go see the movie.
Yes, that's actually how a lot of PG-13 horror happens. Most of the time, it is shot as a rated R film.
Mm-hmm.
Then producers, if they see the opportunity, go and say, hey, cut this down, only have this much blood on screen for this amount of time, we can get it down to a PG-13, is usually how that goes.
Yeah, Jason Blum
is a big fan of PG-13.
Well, because he and I agree with him. Sometimes just like it's sometimes just like the idea of the horror is just more effective.
I think that's true. Like, I don't want to say, like, I guess it's just coming from being like a big slasher fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that mentality comes from on my end, where like, for me, like, implied violence is only really that strong if the implication is really terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of the kills in this movie are pretty vanilla.
Because I don't think,
with the exception of one.
Because honestly, like, I feel like the kills weren't the main piece of horror here, but
No.
we'll get there.
It's funny because going in, the message that this movie has is not what I expected it to. I expected it, movie about robot, it's going to have message about the human condition and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess it kind of does just in concept, because anything about robots getting out of control is going to have something to do with like the human condition.
Yeah.
But this is much more a movie about parenting styles in the modern age.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very heavy-handed, honestly, in that messaging. I mean, straight from the beginning when the Cady's parents are arguing about screen time and stuff like that. Like, it's definitely one of the goals of the movie to encourage a more hands-on parenting style.
Yeah.
But so we kind of get our first little introduction to M3GAN, and the CEO comes in, and this guy is such a funny little man.
He's so funny. Let me look at who this is. I know him from other things. I just can't remember. Let me find him. Hold on.
While you're looking,
scroll down.
He basically finds her little pet project and is just like, how much money does this cost? How much of our money have you been throwing at this thing that you were not supposed to be doing? And it's a lot of money.
It's Ronnie Ching. He's a Chinese comedian.
He's very funny in the movie.
He's hilarious.
He's
he's on The Daily Show. That's why.
There it is.
That's how I know him.
He does a great job as a very high-strung young executive, you know.
Oh, he's awesome in this.
Dude is just stressed out the entire movie.
Oh yeah.
But you know, she manages to convince him, like, oh, let's do a demonstration, and then, you know, it's not going to plan, but that's because someone forgot to put in the whatever pseudoscience chip detector, blah blah blah.
It was just it was some sort of thing that basically kept the robot from overheating, which is why her entire head blew up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So her whole entire head blows up, and boom, that's the movie.
Yeah, right. Right after this, Gemma receives the call from an emergency room in Oregon, and she goes to the hospital there and signs some papers and becomes Cady's legal guardian.
Yep, and the transition is not easy. You can tell that Gemma does not know how to be a parent, which is fair. But the problem is the lack of interest of wanting to be a parent, which is also fair, but also at the same time, like, you wanted it. You wanted this. So you have to...
I feel more that she's also grieving, and her sister made her a godparent for a reason.
Yeah.
And so it was her sister's wish for Gemma to take care of Cady.
Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure.
So it's pressure. It's not really that she would have chosen this. I think throwing herself into work is what she wants to do to cope.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's a lack of interest.
I think I worded it a bit more harshly than I meant to.
Yeah. You can see her trying. It's just that she doesn't
know how to do this.
Yeah, and she never prepared herself for it.
Because who would?
Exactly.
In her situation. But prepared or not, it's reality now, and we get to meet the weirdest therapist I've ever seen. The thing is, she's a normal therapist in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, this scene is so weird because she's obviously like the court appointed therapist.
Yeah.
But like, she's so passive aggressive. She's like, "Oh, I see we're still in our pajamas." Like, for real? Are you being for real right now?
Yeah, we're just watching TV. Like, and she's like, "Well, why don't you guys like play together or something? Here, roll that expensive collectible ball. That's not even a ball. It's supposed to be for something else."
And I watch her have to open this collectible box, and she takes a box cutter and like destroys the box. And it hurt my soul as much as I think it hurt Gemma's soul. But she's trying so hard to prove to this therapist like that she's fine to keep Cady when like the therapist is like, let's play with some toys, and Gemma says, oh, I just got some, let's open a new box, because she just bought some toys for Cady because I mean, it's been like a day since Cady's been here. It's
literally been a day.
So and the therapist goes, oh, but we have some toys right here. And Cady goes, oh, but those are collectibles. They're not toys, which is a thing that kids have to learn at some point, like that collectibles exist. I don't think that this is a problem. The therapist gives her the most judgmental fucking look.
Like, collectibles? Are you serious?
Are you serious? Collectibles in a house with a kid? Yeah, it wasn't originally a house with a kid. And what the fuck? That's not fucking weird for someone to have collectibles, especially when they're a person who works for a toy company.
Exactly.
That makes toys.
Because you could assume that those collectibles were probably worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah, they're not even American toys. They've got like Japanese on them, on the boxes. It's
kind of wild that the thing that makes it so weird is throughout the rest of the movie, she's like a normal therapist.
Yeah, it's
like comparatively, at least.
Most definitely. She's not a good therapist. Quite frankly, she's a terrible therapist.
Yes, but I would say normal.
Yeah, like a normal person. Definitely should not be a therapist for children, but that's kind of besides the point. This whole scene made me so mad because like there was no reason to have this kind of judgment on Gemma, who's already struggling to adjust. Like that's gonna make it worse.
It's just added pressure.
It's just
essentially
incredible pressure. And you know, the therapist, when she's leaving, she turns and she says to Gemma, like, you know, her father's parents reached out, like, if this is too much for you, I'm not saying it's too much, but if this is too much for you. And Gemma's like, if her mother wanted her to go, if her parents wanted her to go to Jacksonville, they would have made them the godparents. This is my responsibility. Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, you should have blown up at her a long time ago. I would have been like, this is ridiculous. I've been with this kid for one day. Okay. I literally just said that I bought her toys, and then you gave me attitude for me having collectibles. And then I actually opened one of my priceless collectibles that was still in the box and was trying to teach the kid how to play with it properly. She might have had more fun with it if she knew how to play with it. But you were making her feel uncomfortable. You were making me feel uncomfortable. This was a terrible situation, and it was completely caused by someone who's supposed to be a therapist. Are you fucking kidding?
And that's the brilliance of this film. Because they definitely meant to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume. But honestly, after this, Gemma and Cady do start bonding pretty good. I think the problem is the bonding they do is she shows Cady
Doug?
Doug?
I think his name was Doug.
Oh, he's Doug. I wrote it down. Big robot. And his name was Bingo. Bruce. His name was Bruce.
Okay, that's pretty close.
That was a long pause. I apologize, but Bruce, big old robot that Gemma made in college. That's controlled by the user. Is this a Chekhov's gun? Most definitely.
I wrote down here like where is it? Oh, what in the Tony Stark tech?
I know this is one of those movies where the tech is a leap, a little bit of a leap for at least a toy company.
Yeah, I mean, and this is supposed to be tech she made in college, and it uses like special gloves or something that controls it. It's
Now, granted, stuff like that existed in the 90s.
yeah, but like, look at this thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's in the Tony Stark.
I just think of Jurassic Park, the one guy that's controlling the robot with the arms. Like that's
right,
real technology.
but that's one arm thing, and they've been using
this is touch screen remote control to move the legs and stuff.
Yeah, this is Tony Stark.
But I mean, you're watching a movie about a killer robot child, so you can suspend your disbelief a bit, you know.
I feel like the android was more believable than this robot, honestly. I mean, have you seen like those videos of androids?
Yeah. Have you seen videos of like those robot dogs?
What?
Like those robot dogs. That's what Bruce kind of reminded me of.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Like, so I feel like it's just two different versions of robotic technology that we deal with here.
That's true. I had an
you have your Terminator and you have your human replacer.
Yeah. Okay.
But this gives Gemma the terrible idea. She didn't know it was a terrible idea at the time, but the terrible idea. I should make sure I finish M3GAN for Cady.
No, I don't think it's for Cady.
It's a motivation though.
Listen,
because she sees that Cady.
The motivation isn't specifically, oh, I'll fix Cady. It's what Cady says here. Cady says, if I had a toy like this, I would never need another toy again. The motivation is that she's going to create the toy
to end all toys.
The motivation isn't strictly Cady needs this. The motivation is this is the selling point. This is the toy that you don't ever need another toy if you have this toy.
I guess at the end of the day, though, this revelation of extra motivation to finish this project is still the end result.
Mm-hmm.
Which the idea of this toy has so many ethical problems, and I mean that's the thing. The movie explores all those ethical problems, like attachment and absent parenting because you're relying on the robot to do all this stuff for you. But she pretty much montages her way to finishing M3GAN after M3GAN was pretty much exploded. But when they're supposed to present the new, cheaper perpetual pet, they're actually going to show M3GAN to the world. And they have Kate, not the world, but to the CEO. So they have Cady basically imprint on M3GAN.
Mm-hmm. They make Cady the primary
user.
And M3GAN wakes up and interacts with Cady. She has them go over, they go draw. And she literally somehow with markers draws a perfect
portrait
of Cady.
And like she does this while holding the marker like those kids with the big crayons, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's best not to question it too hard because it'll hurt your brain. But this makes the CEO all like, "Oh wow. My goodness, we're going to give you $1 million." You know? But so the problem has now started. M3GAN is, for all intents and purposes, alive, like Frankenstein.
And Cady's personal toy. She is a toy only made for Cady, and the only thing that matters to M3GAN is Cady.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
What you'll come to see is if something has an attachment like that to a child, that child is probably going to reciprocate that attachment.
Especially a child who's grieving.
Oh yeah, a
Like
very
Cady.
vulnerable kid who just wants to run away from all this like trauma and, you know, hard truths, and thinks that M3GAN is the solution.
Mm-hmm.
M3GAN makes me feel better, you know, and M3GAN is just off from the beginning. I never found her like endearing. There was like a couple moments where I'm like, aw.
Yeah, but she's so creepy.
She's so scary.
She's so scary.
But
for Cady, she's like a friend, and for Gemma, she's a way for her to have time to figure out this parenting thing. Because M3GAN will remind Cady to flush the toilet and wash her hands.
we get a fun little montage of all this stuff too.
Yeah.
Set to like it's basically like a makeshift advertisement.
Yeah.
With Gemma like saying
actually,
all of her capabilities.
It's really well shot. I actually really liked this as exposition because it definitely like speeds up the exposition process while also giving you all of the. It was just really well done.
It gives you a nice rundown of all of her abilities she comes with that she's supposed to have.
Her primary functions. And she teaches Cady about science and reads her bedtime stories and can, replicate voices for the bedtime stories.
Foreshadowing.
But yeah, she's just like a all-in-one perfect companion.
And I mean, all is pretty much well until some stuff happens with the neighbor, more specifically the neighbor's dog. So we met the neighbor and the dog, and it was established that they have a bit of a property dispute going on. But the dog is a little unhinged. Let's not lie.
Yeah.
Because Cady's outside playing pretend, shooting her little arrows around. And she's like, M3GAN, I lost one of my arrows. Can you find it? And M3GAN finds it through a hole in the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And M3GAN goes to go get it and just gets mauled by the dog. See, I'm thinking this whole time, oh, she's going to kill the dog right now.
Yeah, no.
But no, she just gets mauled. And
she gets mauled and Cady goes to save her and Cady gets bit by the dog.
It is a pretty hard bite. Like,
yeah, it's definitely really rough.
I
would have immediately checked her for rabies, but that's fine.
But this causes M3GAN just kind of to process that dog hurt Cady.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of.
And also we have to mention before this scene, they are running diagnostics, the team at Funky, on M3GAN, and M3GAN starts asking questions about death and Cady's parents' death and how she can help Cady with processing her grief. And she starts searching the internet for what is death and lots of other things. It's kind of a creepy moment.
It is creepy because they're like trying to tell her, hey, stop it. You're not supposed to even think about death.
You're not even supposed to be on right now. And that is when they realize that Gemma never even put parental controls on the doll. So Gemma quickly uploads some parental controls.
Because you can just do that real fast.
And Megan goes, Gemma, you are now my secondary primary user.
I think it's second primary user. Whatever, something
Whatever,
like
it's
that.
something. The way she says it.
She says it
so
passive aggressively.
Passive aggressive.
And so that's your first that was the first Megan going wrong moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a lot of the movie is a lot of movies montaging.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep it in a straight line, but at the same time,
well,
I know we don't have a lot of time today.
Yeah, and also I think the only reason I think this was important to put first is like the moment's kind of creepy, but you can tell that this conversation, if Gemma would have explained to Megan how, this is part of your primary function, blah, blah, blah. Like if she would have gone, followed the doll through the thought process, that maybe she wouldn't have gone off on her own search and found such terrible things and had been even, processing death in the way that the doll processes death. She could have controlled it.
Fact of life, not very
It's
caring.
a Google search.
Yes.
It's a Google search.
Because to Megan, all death is the cease of bodily function.
And we all know the internet. We do not search death on the internet. We don't. There's a good reason for that, because the internet will show you things you do not want to see. It'll show you violence. And because Gemma wouldn't explore this topic with Megan, possibly because she's grieving herself.
Or maybe even just rushing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of it, is
that's
rushing
part
to finish
of it.
Megan.
That's part of it as well, but it allows Megan to create her own, or go to the wrong places, I guess, to learn this information. But yeah, it's this thing that leads Megan to take very seriously the threat of the dog.
Yes. So she's like, okay, the dog hurt. She's basically, this is mainly implied motivation, but dog hurt Cady, I hurt dog is essentially the logic. So in a very creepy scene, it's kind of cool how much it sounds like AI voices that we have today.
Yeah.
AI voices of the neighbor's voice, the dog's owner, saying, what was the dog's name? I remember. Dewey. Dewey. Dewey, come here. Dewey. Starts like snapping fingers under the hole.
And she also imitates clapping, and you can tell the clapping isn't coming from like the robot, like going like that. You can tell it's from the robot mimicking the sound of clapping.
It's creepy. Thankfully, Dewey just sticks his head in the hole. He gets yanked. You don't have to see too much. You get a short yelp. I hate dog death in movie. I don't know why. I can watch so many people die in a movie, but second dog in danger, I'm like, no. Like,
I didn't even like this dog, and I was
he was still a bad dog. He was a bad dog, really bad dog. But in that moment, I was like, no, don't hurt the good boy.
Well, for a second, I thought she was just gonna poison him.
Nope, she just.
Because the way that, so there's a hole in the fence, obviously, and the first thing we're seeing is like her snapping through the hole. We just see her hand. And I thought what she was going to do there is like set something down, because like it looks like she sets something there and then the dog comes up sniffing. So I thought like she was going to like poison it with chocolate or something. I thought she'd ease into the death thing.
Yeah, like something a little more subtle, but nope.
And especially because a dog eating something and dying, she could get away with that so easy. Like that wouldn't be that wouldn't be Gemma's fault. That wouldn't be Cady's fault. You know, the dog found something, especially, you know, like if it was like a poisonous plant or something.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking was going to happen, but no, it was much more murderous intent.
But this kind of causes a kind of darkly comedic little thing going on where the neighbor's like, I know it's you. I know you did. Like this poor like donut cop has to keep coming over.
I love this cop.
He's just like, because he originally comes over when the dog bites Cady. And Jem's like, you have to put that dog down. And he's like, well, there's nothing I can do. Fix the hole in your fence. Like, yeah. And then he comes back and it's like, I have to ask you, did you take the dog? Do you know where the dog is? And like the neighbors in the background like, she did it. It's gotta be. It doesn't make any sense if it's anyone else. And he goes,
we agreed that you were gonna stay on your property.
It's so.
And then the neighbor comes and knocks on the window, and he's like, hey, let's calm down. Like, it's so funny.
I love donut cops in movies. They're always my favorite.
I wish the cop was named Dewey.
He was stressed. He was a stressed out man.
Poor dude.
He definitely had Dewey energy though.
Yeah, absolutely he did. But
this is where I think it starts to get alarming to Gemma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay. No, it's a therapy session.
No, yeah, it's
because
well, I think first is when they show off M3GAN to not the CEO, the guy above the CEO, Greg.
Yeah.
And because Cady wakes up and Gemma's like, hey, are you sure you want to do this presentation today? If you're not feeling good, I understand. Like, it's okay.
She does that thing, you know, it's
yeah,
okay.
She does,
and then she goes, but a lot of people flew out for this. So, like, you know, but no pressure.
Yeah.
Which is like just straight up manipulation, but
yeah.
you know,
and M3GAN walks into the room and Cady kind of looks around and then she just starts crying. And M3GAN was going to try to get her to do a little
flower art,
but she looks at Cady and she's like, so why are you upset? And Cady goes, well, I wake up every day in this strange house with these strange things, and every day I wake up and I remember that my parents are dead. And I don't know if I'm ever going to remember them, and what if one day I forget what my mom looks like. And M3GAN sits down next to Cady and she says something along the she says, what's your favorite memory of your mom? What's a good memory you have of your mom? And Cady says, oh, I don't know. And M3GAN goes, just try. And Cady gives her a little story of how there was a cockroach in her school bag, and the cockroach, you know, crawled up her mom's arm, and her mom ran screaming. And M3GAN says, like, you know, but that's a good memory. You'll always have that memory. And Cady's like, you know, like,
what if I don't?
What if I don't?
What if I forget?
And M3GAN goes, you won't. And then she said, because I'll keep it for you right here. And she touches like where your heart would be. And a recording of Cady saying the memory plays. And she's like, you can just always tell me good memories you have of your parents, and I'll keep them for you. And you'll never forget.
And boom. That sold the entire little committee behind the glass.
Yeah, it did. They were all crying.
And hey, I mean, if I was in that room, I would have been sold too.
Yeah.
I like, but at the same time, when you think about it logically, well, this robot could be a helpful therapy tool. it is extremely dangerous to let your kid grow a dependence on a robot. Something that they have to detach from at some point.
Yeah. And so they take Gemma aside, and the boss is like, well, we got to get Gemma to legal because she's the most valuable asset this company has right now, and she should be paid more. And what I say to that is, damn, what a good boss.
He knows talent. He's going to buy that talent.
He says, she's not even thinking about it because she goes, legal? And he goes, yeah, you're wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You need a pay raise. Don't you want more money because you're a genius?
I'm laughing both at your jokes and also the lighting with you with the sunglasses. She has sunglasses on and we're sitting in the dark.
The deck is a little bit too bright.
You look like a cool DJ.
The deck is too bright for my eyes right now, so I slipped my sunglasses back on to try to help.
You look like a cool DJ. I had to say it again.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, soon after this, there's a little therapy session with that creepy, the weird, just not a good child therapist, and she's asking Cady questions, and Cady is so very obviously uncomfortable. Like, I don't know where this woman studied to become a therapist. Like, well,
Brown Mackey.
Yeah, like. Probably I don't even know. It's just not.
Does Brown Mackey even exist anymore? I don't know.
I don't even know. But like, if you're not getting a child to open up to you, you don't just keep asking questions. Like you do an activity, or you displace, you talk about something else. You don't just keep trying to pester them with questions. And Cady starts crying, and the therapist goes to reach for tissues, and the tissues are out. And M3GAN just suddenly appears next to her and scares the ever-living shit out of her.
Holding more tissues.
And she's like,
you made Cady cry.
And she's like, I didn't mean to. And M3GAN says, and yet, that's what happened. And I was like,
oh, it's so creepy. But the therapist does get the gist at the end of the day. She's like, Cady's way too attached to that robot.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
She tells Gemma it's an issue.
And Gemma's like, oh, okay. Guess I'll get her to weird school. Okay, I need someone to tell. Is this a thing?
Yeah,
she goes to an alternative school, is what they call it.
It's a Montessori school.
What is that?
It's a method of teaching.
Outside?
Sometimes it happens outside. There's Montessori schools that are lots of different kind of things. Let me look up the method.
Why didn't I get to go to one of these?
Because they're kind of weird.
Like culty?
Kind of.
Yeah, I got kind of a culty vibe from it. But this whole the whole beginning of this sequence is so funny. Basically,
Google, just work. Come on.
Cady wants to. I don't know how they got this far with M3GAN in the car going to the Montessori school, because I feel like it would have been easier if they just if she just stopped that at the door and didn't take M3GAN with.
My guess is that she couldn't get
Cady in the car without
her. So Montessori is a method of education based on self-directed activity, hands-on learning, and collaborative play.
Yeah, that. But it's outside and it looks like fun jungle gym in the woods, and I'm like, okay, cool. But this teacher, I guess, is so goofy. Mm-hmm. She's just like, oh, you want is who are our two little adventurers today? And then, like, Megan snaps her head over and she's like, oh God.
But she has like the reaction I would have, which is just, that is so cool.
She's like, oh well, she's like, yeah, well, she's not coming along. It's like, oh well, we have a toy desk. You can just leave the toys there. Like, and I honestly, the visual of Megan just having to sit at this toy desk, with all the other toys.
She does this multiple times in the movie. Where they have Megan sitting at a desk or something with a whole bunch of other toys, and it's giving that scene in E.T. where E.T. hides with the rest of the dolls in the closet.
Yeah.
And every single time I think of it. By the way, guys, E.T. was my first horror movie because E.T. scared me so incredibly badly as a child.
Yeah, I have not seen E.T. since I was a kid. Like, I barely remember it.
I need to watch it.
I do remember
again.
that, but
I do need to watch it again because there's no way it's gonna scare me as bad anymore. I just the way that animatronic moved and stuff, it freaked me out.
Phone home.
I used to see his little finger in the windows. His little glowing finger.
Yeah.
It would just pop up in windows. Have I told this story before?
No.
On this podcast?
You've told me you were scared of E.T., but you never told me you saw his finger in windows.
I'm just making sure. I didn't sleep for like a month. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I was the most tired 8-year-old in the world because I was so incredibly afraid of E.T. And the reason we watched E.T. was because my mom was giving us a birthday party at a local theater nearby, and they could only play very specific movies, and a lot of them were older. Except I'm pretty sure they could have played Scooby-Doo, so I really don't know why we had to watch E.T. But she booked out this movie theater for my birthday party and made me watch E.T. because E.T. was the movie she chose. And I was terrified
your
of
mom
him.
Just being like, oh, E.T., that'll be fun.
And then at my birthday party, I just sit in this theater and watch this movie that scared the ever-living shit out of me. And I, like, at one point, I just ran to the bathroom crying. And all my little, like, second grade friends followed me to the bathroom and they're like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I was like,
phone home.
No, I was like, I had to pretend that I wasn't scared of him. So I was like, it just makes me so sad when he's dying.
Oh my God.
It makes me cry. No, I was just terrified of the little alien thing. And my mother made me sit through it on my birthday.
I'm not going to lie. Whenever I'm sick, I just kind of picture myself as E.T. when he's all pale and dying.
Well, yeah, because like that's what Elliot looks like at the same time as E.T. Like that's how I feel when I'm sick. I'm like, I'm Elliot with E.T. I am sick and I am dying. The light will go out soon.
Oh my God! What were we even talking about? Oh yeah, Megan on the bench,
the toy bench.
But Megan, she's keeping a watch. Gemma decides to stay. So she can watch Megan. She doesn't do a very good job.
She doesn't. But the reason she's watching Megan is she's a little suspicious of her.
Yes. And
Megan cannot get leaked.
Yes.
Megan's not supposed to be in public because we're worried about Megan getting leaked.
So she is making sandwiches with another mom who's like, oh, there's my son over there. And her
son just says, fuck off, Holly.
Yeah. What does she ask him? She's like, oh, hey, it's a little cold out. Aren't you gonna wear a hat? And he goes, fuck off, Holly.
It was so comedic.
This kid reeks of conduct disorder. Like definitely a future sociopath in the making. But you know, it's okay. That future is never coming.
Yeah.
because he gets paired up with one kid, and you hear the kid whisper, I forget what the bully kid's name was. It Brandon?
Brandon, yeah.
He was like, okay, Dylan and Brandon, and this other kid goes, I don't want to be with Brandon. And then like she's like, okay, that's fine. I know, Cady and Brandon, like you'll be and this Brandon kid is such a little twerp. More than that, he's a little sociopath essentially.
Yeah. And I think these are these walnut shells? Is that what walnut shells look like?
I guess so, but they're prickly.
They looked like Buckeyes to me.
All I know is that they're prickly, and Cady finds one, and she's like, why is it so it's prickly? And he comes over and he's like, oh, let me see, and then squeezes her hand into it. Like,
yeah.
God.
Have you ever been around a Buckeye tree?
No.
Okay, so we always had one at my elementary school. We had a Buckeye tree because this is Ohio.
OH.
IO. And of course we have a Buckeye tree. So we always used to do like, and I feel like this never happens anymore, but we always used to do in the summer when it was nice.
Tree came for you with your fucking living in Ohio.
we always used to go.
I live in the oldest Ohio known to man.
we would go and sit outside and do like lessons by the Buckeye tree. But you know, this is elementary school, so I would sometimes go to pick up the Buckeye like tree, the Buckeyes. They have a prickly shell like this, and it hurts. I don't know if you know the pain of holding I don't even know how she picked it up without hurting herself, because it hurts. These spikes are so for real.
You just got to pick it up like by the longest spike by just your fingertips or something.
Yeah, Buckeye. I knew these weren't Buckeyes because the Buckeye shells are a little bit different. The spikes are really small, so you can't grab it by the spike.
Aren't Buckeyes poisonous? Like super poisonous?
Are they?
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm not dead.
Poisonous, not venomous. Means don't eat them.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the outer shell.
It's like how you can pick up a poison berry, just don't eat it.
I thought you were saying like the spikes. No, yeah, I don't know.
That's just an extra layer of, hey, animals, don't eat me. I'll kill you.
Buckeyes are really freaking hard though. Like but you can roast them.
I prefer the candy.
Pretty sure you can roast Buckeyes.
Maybe that kills it. We got to look this up now.
Yeah.
We got to look this up. But I will continue with the plot while you look this up. So M3GAN is just kind of standing in the background, and he's like, is this your toy? Make it talk. Why wouldn't it talk? Make it talk. It's a robot. Make it talk. And then M3GAN doesn't talk. So he swipes it and starts running away like just the little asshole he is. And then he does this really weird thing where he throws M3GAN on the ground and takes off her shoe.
Removing its shell and roasting the nut neutralizes its harmful tannic acid content and makes for a protein-packed snack.
Okay. So eating it raw, it will hurt you.
Yes.
Maybe kill you. I don't know.
All parts apparently of the Buckeye plant are poisonous to eat.
The more you know. Stick to the peanut butter chocolate candies. You're welcome. That's the best export Ohio has.
Yeah.
God, I want some Buckeyes
Other
now.
than astronauts and presidents.
Exactly. We have astronauts, presidents, Buckeye candy.
Yeah.
Buckeye candy is my favorite. Actually, astronauts are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he takes off M3GAN's shoe. It was really weird. It gave a creep vibe. I think that might have been the implication.
That was definitely the implication. I was like, oh my God, is this kid old enough to know what sex is? I thought he was going to...
I thought he was going to try and diddle the doll. Okay?
I thought he was going to molest the doll.
Yeah.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
Thankfully, he doesn't, or at least maybe didn't have the time to, because M3GAN comes alive and grabs his ear and starts stretching it out like fucking taffy.
It's
Now, I don't know anatomy that well. Do ears work like that? I don't try.
No, this is as far as my ear stretches.
To your knowledge.
Yeah, but
To
even like
what if it's like how you can bite your fingers off like as easily as a carrot,
no,
but your brain prevents you.
No, it literally isn't giving. Like, so honestly, it does take, I think it's only 3 pounds. If you have like something hanging on your ear that's over 3 pounds, it's it only takes 3 pounds to like make your ear fall off. But like, here, pull on my ear.
I don't want to pull on your ear.
It doesn't hurt. Not that bad. See, there's no give.
Okay, so we've myth busted. You cannot stretch out an ear like taffy, but it was hilarious to me.
I did not like it.
Well, I'm like wanting this kid to bite it. I know that's harsh because he's a kid, but it's a movie, so it's okay. It's like he's not really dead. Everybody, I don't know if I'm ruining the illusion. But she rips off the ear eventually, and he just starts running away. And then gets hit by a fucking car.
I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
And I remember just kind of going, I was annoyed because I was writing a note as it happened. So I actually didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just looked up and just saw like, I figured it out. And I was like, huh! Like
I was going, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my, no. Like,
so conveniently at first glance, it will look like an accident.
Mm-hmm.
But, we just kind of cut back to home. Well, actually, we have M3GAN in the car reading Cady's facial expressions and getting 100% guilt is one of the ones I noticed. Because Cady knows what happened. But we then just kind of cut to home and Gemma's like, well, let's just not talk about it. Like, and it's on this fine evening, almost immediately after this, that M3GAN's like, yeah, I'll go kill the neighbor now.
Well, can we first bring up, she like explains to Cady it's not her fault. And then she sings Titanium for some reason. She gives such GLaDOS vibes.
It's GLaDOS.
It's GLaDOS.
It's like the voice is literally GLaDOS in some scenes.
It's so GLaDOS. I'm thinking of that song that ends. Isn't it Portal 2 that ends with that song?
Titanium?
No, just like the GLaDOS song.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's Portal 2.
I never finished either Portal game because I got frustrated. Sorry.
Well, who's the video game nerd now?
Have you finished the Portal games?
With my brother. Well, Portal 2 specifically, because that's the multiplayer one.
I could whip out 1,000 games I've beat.
You whip out 1,000 games I beat. Well, I beat Five Nights at Freddy's.
Me too.
We did do that together.
By that Portal 2 logic, we did that together as well.
But it's not about beating it, it's about knowing it.
Yeah.
And I think I just... Anyway. But anyway.
You want to join us on the quiz show of the library?
No. Unless we're talking about Five Nights at Freddy's or Portal.
But anyway.
Or maybe the Mario lore.
M3GAN does just get the idea. Yeah, I'll go kill the neighbor now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember seeing any like extra motivation to kill the neighbor.
It's because the thing we're talking about with the dog and everything happened immediately. Like it happened when they got home and they were having that conversation. That's when the officer knocked at the door.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So now she perceives the neighbor as a threat because the neighbor was threatening them.
Yeah, I guess in my brain I'm like, that is much less reason than the dog physically harming Cady.
Yeah, because now M3GAN kind of likes killing people.
She sees it as like easy solution to my problems.
Mm-hmm. And the way this happens is so creepy.
She right from the get-go when you hear it for the first time, because the neighbor, she's going around, it's really sad.
Oh my god,
it's really sad. She's going around the neighborhood just going Dewey with the dog food bowl in her hand.
Yeah,
like I've never had a lost pet. I have lost pets like that have passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine not knowing what happened to your pet. I imagine that's terrible. Like I can feel it. Like just thinking about it. Just seeing her going around with the dog bowl, even though this was a bad dog, it's still her dog.
Yeah.
You know, Dewey, and like you hear a
that you can tell is not real.
You can just tell there's something off about it.
The captions didn't have to tell me, although they were. The captions did not have to tell me that wasn't a real dog whimper. It was so clear.
What did the caption say?
They said, automated dog whimper.
I mean, obviously you're supposed to know the dog's dead. So you know that that's M3GAN, but at the same time, like, way to go, subtitles. For someone who might have been holding hope that Dewey's alive and well, you spoiled it.
Because, you know, the thing could be that M3GAN, like, mortally wounded the dog and then hid it somewhere for the neighbor to purposely find it and just be scared.
But that's not what she did.
But that's not what she did.
Because the neighbor, she follows the sounds to the shed in her backyard. And M3GAN just kind of comes out still playing the sound.
She like rises from the darkness. It's so creepy.
And the neighbor asks a pretty fair question, "Where's Dewey?" And the response, she just goes like, 30 miles north and 5 feet down. And I'm like, and this kill is the one I'm talking about where I'm like, the implied violence is enough, because she basically sprays her in the face with weed killer that we were told was corrosive.
Yeah.
Then shoots her in the hand with a nail gun. And then while she's pinned, just continuously sprays her in the face with this corrosive material. And you don't see the face melting. You just see the blood, the goo turn, the chemical, like the chemicals pouring on the concrete turn into blood. And you're like, ooh. But this is when the heat gets a little too hot, because the officer's back. And it's funny because she goes like, I already told you I don't know where the dog is. Can you tell her to leave me alone? Like, it's like, well, that might be a little difficult. And that's because she's currently getting carted into a coroner truck, you know, in a body bag. And then we have like the dopiest detective I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's just like, where were you last night?
And she's like, here?
He's like, you know, this is the second statement we've taken from you in a week. And
she's like,
what?
Are you trying to make a connection or something? Like,
just no.
He goes, no, it's just like,
that was a freak accident, but we did find his ear 50 yards away.
He's like, it's just really weird. Like, I don't think it's you, but it's just really weird. Like, it's a very much like, I can't find a connect. This kid got hit by a car. This woman's like face is melted off. I don't know what the connection is.
But he does clue her. You can tell he's trying to see if he can get a reaction, because he does clue her in on the fact that the kid is not an accident. They're looking at it as a homicide now, because they're like, we found his ear in the woods 50 yards away from the accident, you know? And
she's like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, no, it's not her. Like, her reaction of, oh my God, what? Like, it's so genuine. He's like, it's not you. Okay.
But, you know, she glances over and M3GAN's just staring at this whole interaction.
Yeah.
And this is what you'd call not good. This is just not a good situation because they're going to launch this thing very soon.
Yeah.
They're going to announce it to the world very soon. And now Gemma has fully kind of gathered, oh my God, I think Megan's killing people.
Is this where she does the thing where she's standing?
Hi, Kitty!
Oh my goodness! Hello!
Hello! Sorry, Austin's cat has joined us in studio. Do you have anything to say? She has nothing to say. Hello. Kitty, hey, come here.
You should M-key this.
Oh, I'm not M-keying this. The people need to know. The people need to know. Anyways, where were we? Cat is a cat is a major distraction. It makes me go, cat, come here. I yanked a thing and it scared her.
It did.
So what were you gonna say? Ashton. What were you gonna say? You said, was this the moment when she
was around here the moment where she's standing there and she says like, where was it that she says, this is the part where you run? When was that?
That was the kid.
Oh, that's right.
That was Brandon or whatever.
Okay, I was
his name
trying to put together because I wanted to mention that.
This is the part where you run away.
I was like,
she pulls a Shrek.
Who let this robot have access to horror movies and or Shrek?
Her. She has a full internet in her head. That's a problem. But so she wants to get Megan to the office, and Megan, she goes to check her laptops because she can see everything Megan has seen, or at least she's supposed to see everything that Megan has seen. But the problem is all of that is conveniently corrupted. And then her little house AI is like, Gemma, how are you doing today? And she's like, you're not supposed to ask me that. You're not supposed to even care about that. And that's because, oh my God, shock, it's Megan. And Megan's basically like, I didn't do anything. But she uses this little trick where she's like, hey, Megan, look at this pen. And she looks at the pen, and then she manages to hit the off button on the back of her neck. We have the cat now, and it's very distracting.
Yeah, the cat is on my lap, and she is purring.
The third act of this movie really does just kind of blow by. So apologies if I am blowing by. But it's really fast moving. So you have Megan now bubble wrapped and taped up in the trunk, and Cady's having a fucking episode about it, like literally screaming, kicking the back of the chair, like, I want Megan, like, and you're seeing the consequences of this attachment that has grown in real time. But eventually she gets Cady to pseudo calm down, enough to at least get her to see the therapist again, and it's not going too well. She's literally throwing things at the therapist and screaming and crying.
She grabs a pair of scissors.
She does.
And starts holding them like a knife.
And then that's when Gemma comes into the office, and Cady slaps Jenna across the face. But so this kind of, I think she finally kind of gets a hold of Cady here, and is like, as she explains to Cady, like, "Aw,
did you say something to the people?"
She said something to the people. Let me speak.
Did you have something
No
to
one's
say?
stopping you. I need to speak to the people, Piccolo. I'm not a big fan of the government. God, we're getting way too off track here.
Sorry. God, it's so distracting.
I understand. I'm just going to continue to go. So M3GAN has been turned into the other techs that Gemma works with, and she's all tied up in wires. That is, but Gemma takes this moment to explain to Cady that M3GAN does not make you better. M3GAN is a distraction. You went through like one of the worst things that you could have possibly gone through, and I can't tell you it's going to get better, but you're going to get through it. Okay? Like, M3GAN is not the solution, essentially. And Cady pretty much buys it and understands it. But she's a smart kid, just a traumatized kid. And she's like, I'm going to take you home. So she's ditching the worldwide reveal of M3GAN. And meanwhile, M3GAN also wants to ditch the worldwide reveal. So she's faking. Oh. She's faking being dead. Not dead, but turned off. She baits one of the dude employees closer and basically rips out her arm free from one of the restraints and hangs him by the neck from it, and basically like just has a full like ninja moment, and Ashton is very happy right now.
This cat is curing my depression.
And then M3GAN, so she gets away. Yeah, M3GAN gets away. She kills the CEO by stabbing him in the back in the back through the heart, right in front of the elevator that this dorky assistant who we've seen a couple times in the movie. And she's like, well, he's like, why would you do that? And she's like, I didn't kill him. You killed him. Everyone treats you like garbage. So you decided that so it comes out like a whole motive for why he killed him. It's like, so you decided that you were going to get revenge. So you were stealing secrets, but then he caught you and you just knew it was you or him. And then you killed him. And now you just can't live with yourself. And then
it's crazy.
Stages it to look like he stabbed himself in the neck. And then my favorite genre of horror, traumatizing children, because the elevator opens and all of the kids they gathered to watch the reveal of M3GAN see the bodies in the elevator, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, I kind of wanted M3GAN to be standing there with them, but basically the scene plays out where they have everybody gathered to watch the reveal, and so they do like a practice reveal, so everyone turns to look at the elevator where M3GAN's supposed to come down, and while they're like counting down to do that, M3GAN slips out of the elevator, so she's clearly not there. And yeah, all the kids all go look and see the dead people in the elevator. Sorry, I moved the mic down so that you guys could hear Kitty purr, and so she could speak. Right, honey? Yeah. So if my audio is a little bit, that's why.
But M3GAN steals a car. It's kind of fun. And drives it via Wi-Fi, I guess. And you know where she's going. There's this really intense scene where she gets back to Gemma's house and basically confronts her in the kitchen like it's an intervention or something, and is like, I'm what's best for Cady. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay. So, you're just going to have to deal with it and do as I say, basically full on autonomous control at this point. She is an automaton. Okay. And Cady kind of walks in and is like, I heard M3GAN. Is that M3GAN? And it's like, you don't let her come in this room or I will rip your fucking head off. And I'm like, whoa. So they do this thing where they're fighting basically.
Well,
And while Cady keeps trying to make conversation and they keep going, yes, just don't come in here. Like,
yeah, we're fixing M3GAN. It's all going to be okay.
This doesn't last long. Eventually Cady does get the hint that, M3GAN's trying to kill her. And it all kind of comes to a head in the garage or the tool shed or the workshop or wherever whatever you want to call it. And there's a sick weed whacker versus M3GAN fight. And weed whacker wins for the most part. It rips out her hair. So she looks balding and slices into her face. And for some reason, I found this version of M3GAN less scary.
I said, how Chucky of her.
Very Chucky of her. Funny enough, when this movie came out, the Chucky Twitter account and the M3GAN Twitter account had like a beef.
That's so funny.
Granted, they're both Universal, so this was definitely planned for PR because the TV show was coming out. Like the second season was coming out at the same time as this movie.
Where are you going, Kitty?
Exploring.
I worry that she's not supposed to be back there.
I mean, she's allowed to come down here.
Oh, okay.
But then, what am I saying?
We were talking about where she looks like Chucky because she
got the sliced in the face, and she's about to kill Gemma, but that's when Cady walks in, so she hesitates because she's like, oh, I have to convince Cady that this is okay, so Cady doesn't hate me, Right. So she's like, you see this pen? Oh yeah, she says, I'm gonna jam it in your prefrontal cortex, and then maybe you'll even be paralyzed from the waist down. So then you'll get to just watch and understand, like basically saying, I'm gonna lobotomize you into submission.
Bye, Kitty.
Bye, Kitty.
It made her stop on the stairs and go, should I leave or not?
Bye, kitty cat.
Bye, kitty.
I think those stairs make her a little anxious.
Yeah.
But which is brutal. And then we get it's a little cringe. It's a little like the line delivery is a little cringe because it's one of those Marvel quips. She's like, there's a third family member that we didn't tell you about.
It's so Tony Stark.
And she brings up her hands and she has the gloves on for Bruce. And then we get a robot fight. Well, technically it's Cady fighting using Bruce as a puppet, but you know what I mean. Robot fight. Turns out, even though M3GAN is way more advanced, Bruce wins. Essentially. She manages to
force.
Yeah, she manages to use Bruce to grab both ends of M3GAN and rip her in half.
Yeah.
And it's sick. And he just kind of throws her into the corner. And it's one of those moments, of, oh wow, the killer's dead.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God, it's over. But no, she's not dead.
Nope.
She launches at him.
She first crawls out behind the bookcase with just her upper half, and I'm like, ugh.
But in the scuffle, Gemma manages to take off the face plate and expose her brain, which is how we were shown it in Bruce earlier. The location of the brain of these robots, or rather like their CPU essentially. And Cady takes a screwdriver and stabs it right in the brain, and M3GAN's dead.
Yay.
And then the police oh, by the way, we decided on terminals last night whenever Shane's a buzzkill, we just go. It's great.
Oh, that's amazing. There's cat hair all over this mic now.
But so are you struggling?
There's so much cat hair on this mic.
You're making scratchy sounds. It's just, we'll be fine. We'll get it after. We're almost done.
It's going in my mouth.
Okay. Where was I? Oh yeah, the cops show up. A movie kind of abruptly ends here.
Yeah.
But you get a little hint because the little house AI that was previously shut down turns on.
Dun dun dun.
M3GAN is now an Alexa.
Stay close, stranger. The room awaits you after these messages.
Crazy.
So that's this movie. It's an easy watch, pretty much.
Yeah, it was actually way more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be.
It's one of those movies that you just kind of, it's a popcorn flick through and through. I mean, it has a lot to say. I do like its message. I think its message is actually very important this day and age. You know, with some of the brats I see running around.
Oh yeah.
And parents just on their phones, not caring. It is frustrating, but that's why I think this movie actually does hold a little bit of importance in terms of its message. Like I said earlier, I thought the message would be the usual AI out of control message of, oh man, humanity needs to know when to stop. We need to stop the human condition. Like, we need to check ourselves as people. But no, I mean, that's kind of a message.
Kind of.
It is, but that's not the main message. It's one of those movies that I would just kind of probably randomly watch again for no reason, on a whim. Like, just late at night, like, I kind of want to watch M3GAN again.
Yeah.
You know, but it's nothing like crazy. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Your closing remarks?
Yeah, that's around the same thing. I was kind of expecting the same, like, human condition killer AI thing. Especially with all the hype. I just was like, this is gonna be a movie that everyone really likes, and I'm gonna be like, what is all the fuss about? But honestly, I think M3GAN is a really great movie. I think its message is pretty good. I think it touches on the problem with iPad kids in a way that I think doesn't blame the parents too much, where they might actually get the message.
Yeah.
Because, like, it goes for the companies that make those products. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
So, how many uppercuts from Bruce would you give this movie out of 10?
Cuts from Bruce. I think an 8.5. I think 8.5 uppercuts from Bruce.
That's fair. I'm more at a 7.5. There is still a lot that I would have wanted from the movie that I didn't feel I got, but but at the same time, that's exchanged with things I didn't think I'd get from the movie that I got. So it kind of evens out to a solid C+ movie in my brain.
All right.
My grade scale, me and you have I'm going to do another explanation of our grade scales. Ashton grades off of just personal enjoyment, cinematic, like, prowess, like, be damned, is just personal enjoyment.
Yeah.
Me, I grade off of both, but my scale is much more school scale. So, you know, like, think percentages. If it's less than a 6, I consider it a failure. Is usually how that's going to go. So we personally have not done Q&A.
I was just going to say, Cinema Score agrees with me.
8.5.
It got a B+ on Cinema Score.
Well, how about that?
Oh, sorry, a B. Just a regular B.
Okay,
sorry, not
so
a B+.
it's in the middle.
Yeah.
Q&A time. Do a brief little Q&A. We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
At least we haven't.
Yeah.
You all have heard them in a row, but we did some jumbling around of episodes, so we have not done the Q&A in a minute here.
Yeah.
Dustin, aka Default of Shameful in the Discord, at discord.gg/Jumperscape if you want to submit your own questions, asks, what movie gives each of you the most anxiety while watching it? So basically, think of movies you've watched. Doesn't even have to be horror. What's a movie that gave you the most anxiety? I can think of an answer in my brain.
Yeah, you go first.
No, for you.
Oh.
Like, just off of observation. But I don't know.
What?
Could have been a movie I didn't watch with you.
What?
The Conjuring. You were like a mess.
Yeah, that one freaked me out. I get a lot of secondhand anxiety from movies, though. There's certain ones. I have migraine brain today, so like remembering things is not super easy for me. And I did a test earlier today, so I'm like on the struggle bus with the brain function at the moment.
That's why we're only going to do a couple questions.
We'll go with The Conjuring for now, but if I think of something, guys, I'll throw it in the Discord.
Yeah, for me, I'm not going to elaborate because I want to watch this movie with Ashton. We're probably not going to cover it because I feel like that'd be a really boring episode, but it's a really good movie. It's a movie called The Invitation.
You know what it is? You know what movie gives me the most anxiety?
What?
The Joker.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
I squirm in my seat watching that. I don't ever want to watch it again. It gives me so much secondhand anxiety and embarrassment. Not worth it. The movie is not worth it for me.
That's fair. What is the funniest bad horror movie? Have you even seen any of these yet?
Poltergeist?
Poltergeist?
I don't know.
Ashton, I don't think Ashton has an answer for this one.
I don't think I do.
My answer is a movie that we were going to cover.
And then I fell asleep.
Ashton fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
She was really tired that day, had a bad day. She fell asleep while we were watching it, and we canceled that episode. We might do it like probably like a year from now, like when the brain resets, but it's called The Stuff, and it is my favorite. It's my favorite dumb horror movie.
Here's the thing though. I fell asleep, didn't even really realize I fell asleep. I was like, oh, I shut my eyes for a minute. What's going on? And then I opened my eyes and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I look at James and he's looking at me like with this like pity look almost. And I was like,
it was a look of like, it was a look of like, a lesser man would be really mad. That might sound really like, what's the word I'm looking for? The opposite of humble. Like that might sound really egotistical to say that about myself, but I was just kind of like, I just want you to be okay more than anything.
Yeah.
Because I was really looking forward to doing that episode.
I felt
unfortunately,
bad.
But that just means that we will do it again.
Yeah, I kept trying to go, no, rewind it. I'll just make up it. Like, it's fine. I'm just missing like a couple minutes of it.
And I was like, you've missed about at least a half hour.
I was like, no.
Because the thing is, I felt bad that you felt bad. It was like a trifecta of feeling bad.
Tends to be how we work.
But at the same time, we had things to do later. So I was like, we don't really have time to go back. No. And also, like, honestly, when I'm watching a movie, I hate rewinding or starting over the movie for any reason. Because my brain, I am so attention deficit that I will get bored.
That's fair.
Like, I can't go back.
That's fair.
Like, couple minutes, sure, but like that long, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a struggle. That was from Ethan, by the way. Thank you, Ethan. Kyle, aka Potassium, asks, what is the worst, in parentheses, bad horror experience, and the worst, parentheses, unbelievably upsetting / horrifying horror experience we've had? So basically, what's the best and worst horror experience we've had is another way that you could word that. Like, what's the most effective horror experience compared to the worst one you've ever had? Like the one that just was like, this is dumb. Tough question.
You got to go first, James.
I'm sorry. I just asked the question. I'm doing the library thing where Austin says the question and then goes last. It's usually how it goes. So that's what my brain's used to.
My brain's not working well enough for that today.
The worst one I've ever had, like the most like I've felt like I wasted my time I've ever had, is a movie called The Prodigy. I don't know if anyone saw that, but I remember going to see it randomly because the kid who played Georgie was in it and he was playing a scary kid. And I was like, okay, that could be fun. And it's just so weird and gross, and not gross in the fun way, gross in the why would you make a kid say this way? There's a scene in it where like, basically, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into it. But I just left the theater like that's the first movie I ever gave a 1 out of 10. Because I was just like, that was just bad. Like not even nothing redeeming. It wasn't even funny bad. It wasn't even boring bad. It was just like bad all around.
I think that's how I felt about Scary Movie.
That's fair, but also it's not technically a horror movie.
Yeah, I know, but like that's the only thing I can equate it to, because like we started watching it and I was like excited because I thought Scream was going to be stupid, and we had started watching Scream and I was loving Scream, which, by the way, we will get to. It's just I don't want to watch Scream 5 because someone ruined it for me.
And I will never forgive that person, because it was literally like 2 days before we were going to watch it.
And I was like, I don't want to watch it anymore, James. I don't want to watch it anymore. I don't want to see that. I don't. And all y'all who know what I'm talking about know why. Okay, I don't want to. I don't even know
like we
how.
Literally just got done with Scream 4, and we were gonna go to Scream 5 next time we hung out.
And I was like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to.
It's a shame, but we'll get there eventually. It's gonna happen.
But because of that, I was like, oh, like Scary Movie can't be like something so stupid that I'm going to hate it. And then we started watching it, and then they were making all these rape jokes, and I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. This is just bad. This isn't funny.
The humor is very, I don't know if dated's even the right word.
It's not funny.
It's just, it comes from an era where it's like, hey, let's be as gross and crude as possible, and everyone will buy it and think it's hilarious.
It's not funny.
But they don't understand that humor. It's like they're trying to be like Trey Parker, like South Park, and it's just not working.
It's not funny. It's not. Point blank period, not funny.
Weirdly, the funniest movie in that franchise is Scary Movie 3 and 4. And you know why? Because they're PG-13. When they had to be more creative with their humor, it actually made it better. When they couldn't just rely on, like, let's be gross and disgusting.
Like, I can deal with a good amount of crude humor. That's fine. But, like, it just wasn't funny. It just wasn't. And that was the worst. I was just like, let's turn this off and do something else. Because I was like, this isn't funny. I'm uncomfortable.
And as far as the best I've ever had is me and my old roommate and one of our friends, we watched The Lighthouse on a stormy night with whiskey and like a sea breeze candle. We used to do themed movie nights where we would try and mimic the themes. One time we watched a bunch of Dario Argento movies with like wine and cheese, like because we were like Italian, yeah, that's Italian. Those are some of my best memories. Obviously, I know the question was like horrifying / unsettling, but I don't really have an answer for that. That or at least I feel like at least I've answered that question before. I'm not sure.
Horrifying or unsettling? And honestly, and this is kind of a weird answer, but the very first time I watched the Walton Files on YouTube, though, that scared the shit out of me. And if anyone ever wants to talk about Walton Files lore or theorize about the new Walton Files 4 stuff that's coming out, please drop it in the Discord. I want to talk to somebody about it because I haven't gotten this one to watch the Walton Files yet.
Eventually
we will.
My attention span with analog horror is low. That's why I usually watch breakdowns of them. It's hard.
It's sometimes. Not. This one isn't that hard though.
I know. We'll get there.
Very entertaining.
We'll get there when we get there.
But yeah, it scared the shit out of me. Like I had to sleep with the light on, and I was like freaking 18 years old. Because it freaked me out so bad. So that one really, I think, is the best I can think of since E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Yeah.
Nice. One more.
All right.
From Lactating Gator. This will be a quick one. When interested in a new movie, do you watch or avoid the trailers?
I've been waiting for us to get to this Q&A question because someone asked if we had seen a trailer to something. I don't remember what it was, but I wanted to say no, because I don't like to watch trailers before I watch movies.
For me, it depends. For horror movies, I tend to avoid unless it's a franchise. Like it basically means I've been looking forward to something way too much to not like to resist the temptation. Like when there's a trailer for the next season of the Chucky TV series, I watch it like 5 times and watch breakdowns and stuff. Or like a new Halloween movie, same thing. But if it's a movie I don't know anything about and it's like a new product or idea, like I might see it in passing on TV or like a brief bit of it on like a YouTube ad, but I try to avoid it. For instance, this is kind of an exception to the rule. I've only seen the beginning of the trailers for the first Omen. When you're listening to this, we had not watched it yet. I know we had an episode a couple of weeks back about it, but at this point that we're recording, we have not seen it yet. I am avoiding the trailers because even though I know it's in that same universe and it's a prequel, I still want to be surprised. But sometimes when I'm really invested in a property, it's too hard for me to not watch a trailer. And that doesn't even just go for horror. Like that goes for Star Wars or like, am I not going to watch a Halo trailer like for a Halo game? Like,
so for me, video games are different.
That's fair. Because you're making a purchase that's permanent and it's expensive.
Yeah. For movies, I completely avoid trailers, especially if I'm excited for the movie. When it came to Five Nights at Freddy's, I didn't watch a single trailer or trailer breakdown, because what I do when I watch movie trailers is I put together the entire plot. Most of the time, for most of the Marvel movies that have come out, and this is the reason why I stopped doing it. For Multiverse of Madness, I was wrong about the entire plot. Basically because the plot ended up sucking. My plot would have been much better, thank you. But I will figure out the entire movie's plot from the trailer, and it ruins the viewing experience. And Multiverse of Madness, I figured out an entire plot that should have been the plot, and by my research was the original idea for the plot of the movie until COVID and Sam Raimi happened to it. then I saw the movie and was more disappointed than I should have been. Normally, I'm not too I'll watch a movie and I'll just be a little disappointed, but like having this entire really well thought out and perfect with the character's plot in my head and then seeing the movie. So now I don't watch trailers.
It can be a downer.
Now I don't watch trailers. I avoid them. And I'm really glad I did that with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie because I think it helped my viewing experience. I think if I watched all the trailers and put together a plot in my head.
Do you ever watch the trailers after watching the movie?
Sometimes.
Just to see?
Sometimes.
Because FNAF had pretty good trailers.
I watched the only preview trailer thing I watched for Five Nights at Freddy's was just the "Welcome to working at Freddy Fazbear's."
I love that.
That thing I did watch that, but the rest of it I didn't because from that you can't break down the plot. That's just basically bonus content, and that didn't mess me up. But anyway, yeah.
So, thank you all for listening. This was a great day. If you want to connect with us and you want to submit your own questions to the Q&A, we're always needing more. So please, always throw them in there if you have them. You can go to discord.gg/Jumperscape and you can talk with us. You can talk to a lot of different people. It's really bumping in there. We have a whole horror section. So if you come in and you're like, why is the general chat full of Halo? That's because, general chat. I don't know. We have a Let's Talk Spooky channel for all of our spooky needs. Spooky yet general needs. But yeah, discord.gg/Jumperscape. And if you want to support the show, this show would not exist without Patreon. We have to thank all of our patrons like hello and welcome to Womb 247, Jacob Adlam, the Library Cult of Lactation member 69, aka Lactating Snake Nipples, Dark Salad 42, Scion Esports, thank you guys, Dick Hammerbush, Halo the Guy, Hounds of Meath, It's Default 456, Lactating Spartan 1337, Lactating Gator, Mr. Shifter, James Zealot, Spartan Dave, Cool Hammerbush. Hey James, your mic isn't working. I was not in the room when that happened.
Really?
Yeah, I was upstairs turning on wrestling. So poor guy, he didn't get it to work. It's very unfortunate. Kyle Hooley, Mo Maggot Y'all, and Spartan Habuko G156, Vermin, Addy, Criminal, Connor Clark, Dylan, Lactating Milk MT, Mass the Merc 664, Perplex Panic 1, I'm Freaking Batman, Lactation of Mercy, Brennan Pfeiffer, Sky Cairo, Eliza, JX O'Malley, Keith G077, Oddball here, Tyson Rue 88, Aussie ODST, Connor I'm in your walls and I've kidnapped Austin's ungoy child, Connor, Jerahanai Side Piece, Damian Groth, Dr. Lactator, Drew Ledbetter, Face McShooty, Zealot, Wart, Ginger Boy Head Ass, Hayden Hamilton, Lactating Snake Nipples, Pity 104, Shane's Garage Resident, The Goob, Tyler Neal, Wraith, X3 Tian, Skenji, Garrus Zakarian, It's Kari, Keegan, Ooga Booga, Join the James Mind. God. Ungoy Food Nipple, of course. Thank you so much. I beat him in a sword 1v1, so he would change his name back. That is, and that's everybody. Sorry, I thought there was one more. My mistake. But once again, thank you so much for joining us here in room 237, a Jumperscape audio production.
Goodbye, stranger.
Thank you for joining us this evening, stranger. If you enjoyed your time with us, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/Jumperscape or join the community at discord.gg/Jumperscape. We thank you for your listenership and hope you enjoyed.